Hello, and welcome to the Psychology Diary podcast where we talk about everything mental health. In this episode, I'll be speaking with Brenden. Brenden is a YouTuber who makes public speaking videos to help purpose-driven entrepreneurs communicate their ideas to the world. Listen to this episode.
Norris.
Okay, great. So, can you tell me more about your work?
Yeah, absolutely, Charles, and thanks for having me. So yeah, my name's Brenden. I'm the founder of Master Talk. It's a YouTube channel I started to help the world master the art of communication and public speaking. And I would say the way that I got started was when I was in university, I used to do these things called case competitions. So think of it like professional sports, but for nerds. So other guys my age were playing sports or watching sports. I was doing the same thing with presentations. And that's how I was able to learn the skills. And then I realized that a lot of the YouTube content on public speaking was really bad. So I started making videos in my basement. One thing led to another, and here we are today.
Great. So, can you tell me more about mental health and this relationship to public speaking?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always believed, and Marissa Peer, who's a famous hypnotherapist, talks about this a lot. It's this idea of the way that you talk to yourself is more important than the way that you talk to others, in the sense that when you're speaking negatively about yourself all the time, the way that you're communicating yourself with yourself is bad all the time. That always reflects badly on your mental health. So it's important to master communication, not just for public speaking, so you can share your ideas with the world, but also because it allows you to interpret and clearly outline what you're thinking about and what you're trying to share with yourself.
Okay, great. So how can leaders in the professional space, how can they better take care of their mental health?
Yeah, for me, I think the best way of doing it is to have a very unique identity and belief system. Yeah, I have this idea, Charles, that when we live for more than ourselves, a
Mm,
lot of those issues get fixed. I mean, you don't see a volunteer firefighter that much struggle with mental health. You don't see people who volunteer a lot more struggle as much as people who don't give back, as people who don't give back to the community. So my advice for people out there is to find that belief system. What are the things that you believe that you think should be done in the world that isn't being done, that only you can do? And I think the more you lean into that reason for being, the less you'll struggle with your mental health, because you'll have a purpose and a way of being.
oh, great. So how can mental health professionals in the public speaking industry better communicate with their audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you're a mental health speaker, you're someone who wants to talk about your own journey in a public speaking setting, my advice would be to figure out a couple of things. So the first one would be the key idea. So the key idea is, if you were to summarize your entire presentation in one sentence, what would you like the sentence to be? So if I give you an example here, the question you need to ask yourselves is the following scenario. Let's say it's your last presentation ever. And in that presentation, nobody hears who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, your content, your titles, but they'll remember one sentence. What do you want the sentence to be? So if you take me as an example, yeah, sure, I teach a bunch of communication tips on the channel, I do a bunch of stuff, but there's one sentence that summarizes my entire life's work, is that if I can master public speaking, anyone can. That's
Great.
the key to my message. So if you can find that key idea, then the only thing left to do, Charles, is to figure out, how do you defend that key idea in a way that people want to hear it?
Okay, okay, great. So how important is public speaking in personal development?
Oh yeah, but public speaking is everything in personal development, and I'll tell you why. There's a couple of reasons.
Okay,
One, public speaking is not just about presentations. It's about everything. It's the way that you talk to people around you. It's the way that you engage. It's the way that you speak to others. So the way that I see this is the way that you speak to others allows you to build community, and that community allows you to skyrocket your growth and personal development. You know, if you want to win small, I would say go alone, but if you want to win big, you need a bigger team. You need people around you that say, I want to learn this book, I want to do this thing, I want to go to this event. And it's through those series of experiences that we're able to be more successful and to grow ourselves.
oh, great, amazing. I love that explanation. So how can mastering public speaking improve the mental health of people with low self-esteem?
Right. So I think the beautiful thing about communication or just knowing how to articulate your thoughts in a very detailed and specific way, the gift that it gives you, Charles, is it allows you to figure out who you are. What do you stand for? What are your values? And I think a good way to practice this as well is you want to ask yourself one hard question about life every single day. This is a habit very few people do, but I think it adds so much to your life. So for example, ask questions to yourself like, what are you pretending not to know? If you had all the money in the world, how would you spend your time? And if you died tomorrow, what would you want your funeral speech to say? These
Okay.
are the aspects that allow us to articulate not just what we believe, but how we communicate that belief to other people around us.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. So, if you could take one thing to heaven after you leave this world, what would it be?
I would say my favorite quote of all time is be insane or be the same. I
Okay.
think we all have this amazing uniqueness about us. And everyone's different. There's only going to be one us. But we don't share that insanity. We don't share our differentiating factors because we want to fit in. And it's that willingness to fit in that makes us unhappy, that makes us unsatisfied with life, that makes us unfulfilled. And I think
Okay.
the only way out of that is to be truly insane. I started Master Talk when I was only 22 years old. I started coaching CEOs when I was 23. But I also live in my mother's basement. I don't plan on moving out for a long time. None of those decisions make any sense at all. And that's the point I want to drive for people. When your decisions make sense to the only person that matters, which is you, you're probably on the right track.
Okay, great. I looked through your LinkedIn profile. You have a very robust experience. I mean, you've worked, I saw your profile, I think IBM. I think you are currently in IBM, right?
That's correct. I'm a
Good.
transformation consultant there.
So how has your work at IBM improved your outlook in life? Have you been exposed to people who have changed your perception about life? And how has this shaped your worldview about life generally?
Yeah, I think what I've always appreciated about IBM is how international of a company it is. So I get to interact with different cultures, different leaders from across the globe, whether they're in Asia, Europe, or North America or Africa. It doesn't really matter. So I think the idea is it's that pool, that diversity of thought that allows me to talk to more people and to learn from them as well. So I think that's the great part about all of that.
Okay, great. Amazing. What three things you want to be remembered for?
Oh, that's a powerful one. I would say the first one is the public speaking knowledge that I want to share with people for free. That's
Okay.
probably that, so that after I die, people can learn from me. The second thing is probably my life lessons, things like be insane or be the same, my controversial ways of thinking. And the third thing is asking yourself a hard question about life every day. If you do that for 30 days, I can pretty much guarantee your life will be different.
Okay. Great. Great. Where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to check out Master Talk, the YouTube channel, it's Master Talk in one word. That's where I share all of my public speaking videos and tips. And if you want to send me a message directly, Instagram's probably the best place to do that, and that's at Master Your Talk.
Okay, great. And this is a quick question. How much do you charge for your public speaking programs? Do you go for events? Do people reach out to you to say, okay, Brenden, come and speak at my event? How much do you charge certain amount of money, and how is the charge? How are your rates?
Yeah, and I would say like I usually don't talk rates in my shows, but what I would say, Charles, is depending on who you are, if you have an interest in having me speak, I'm booked for most of the year, but if you want to have a conversation, let me know. Just send me a message on Instagram. Depending on if you're a nonprofit or a corporation, we can work out to different rates. Sometimes I speak for free as well, so don't be shy to send me a message. We can see what works.
Oh, great, amazing. Brenden, it was really nice having you on the show.
Of course, Charles. Thanks for having me on. It's so great to be here.
All right, now have a nice day.
You too, Charles. All the best.
Bye.
Yep.
Thank you all for listening to this amazing interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Do well to leave a review and kindly subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss out on any episode. Till next time, be legendary.